Donald Trump can win all 50 states, and no, this is not a joke. This is a realistic scenario. He can win all 50 states plus Washington, D.C., and sweep all 538 Electoral College votes. And in this video, I'm going to explain how. Now, this is a blank Electoral College map. This is a map in which he probably wins every single state he ends up winning back in 2020. This is not surprising. Trump is favored in every single state that he did win in the 2020 general election. And we go to some of the other swing states here. First off, we go to Arizona, right? In the state of Arizona, we do expect, in the polling at least, that Donald Trump will end up winning. He is at a 2.5% advantage over Joe Biden. Notably, that advantage has narrowed, but he does lead in the vast majority of polls. It's not a stretch to say that Donald Trump probably will win the state of Arizona. Now you go to the state of Georgia, right? This is another swing state. It voted for Joe Biden by just 0.23% back in 2020. So there is definitely a realistic scenario here that Donald Trump ends up winning the state of Georgia. And I think it's also probable. He leads in the polling aggregate by about 6 points. If the polls are any type of indication, this is kind of outside the margin of error, which makes it unlikely for Biden to end up winning the state. We do have Georgia here going to Donald Trump. Now we go to the Rust Belt states here: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We go to all three of those states, and Trump holds a lead in all three. Biden won all these states by less than 3%. First off, in Michigan, Biden holds less than a 1% advantage over Donald Trump, but he still holds the advantage, and certainly not out of the picture to go for the state of Michigan for Donald Trump. That puts him at 277 electoral votes. Now going to the state of Pennsylvania. In the state of Pennsylvania here, Trump has a 1.5% advantage. Certainly not a stretch to say that Donald Trump, with the very populated rural counties in the state compared to some of the other states, and just overwhelming turnout for Donald Trump, he could easily win the state of Pennsylvania. And finally, in the state of Wisconsin, he also holds a similar lead to the state of Pennsylvania, an identical one, 1.5% over Joe Biden, so he could win the state of Wisconsin. Now you say, EPAA, you're kind of running out of options to give Donald Trump more states, right? We still have a couple to go. I think that there is a realistic possibility Donald Trump does win the state of New Hampshire. This looks more tricky for Trump, but it is still somewhat realistic, right? New Hampshire is certainly not out of the picture. Biden does lead in pretty much every single poll. In fact, in every single poll that is a Biden to Trump rematch scenario, Trump has not led in a single one of these polls. But it is not a stretch to say a 7-point victory for Joe Biden could come down with a lot of these younger voters resenting Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Finally, I'm just going to give Nebraska second to Donald Trump here. It does look likely that Biden will win the district, but I'm just going to give it to Trump for the sake of argument. And also, it's a district. It doesn't technically count as a state. And also, the boundaries have been redrawn to favor Trump a bit more. He could certainly pick up the second district. Now let's go to Trump's secret weapon that could give Trump all 50 states. It's something called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Quite a boring name, you might say, and that's pretty true because it's supposed to be a secret. Anyways, it's a secret with a Wikipedia page. What it says is that these states, the states that are green, will give their electoral votes to whoever ends up winning the popular vote. But there is a asterisk here. There's an assumption. More than 270 of these electoral votes, or a simple majority, needs to light up for this plan to work. Right? If it's one state who's just going to vote against the popular vote winner, it's not going to end up happening, right? One state is not enough to defeat the Electoral College. But if 50% or more of the Electoral College votes end up going to this green column, which means they accept this National Popular Vote Interstate Compact thing, then this plan will immediately go into action. And if we see the enacted number here, 209 Electoral College votes, pending is 87. If you add those two numbers together, if the states that have enacted such laws and the states that have pending such laws end up getting combined, then this law will end up getting passed. Now what we see is something interesting. Out of all these states here, the states that are lighted in green, the states that have actually passed this bill, they're all states that voted for Joe Biden in 2020. There's not a single exception. The only exceptions you might argue here, Maine's 2nd congressional district voted for Trump, but it did vote for Biden on the national level. And also Minnesota, it's a more competitive state, but it voted for Joe Biden by 7. The reason is Democrats are more supportive of the popular vote system because Democrats generally win the popular vote, while Republicans more support the Electoral College because it gives small states a better say, which helps the Republicans' chances at winning the White House. With that in mind, you do see this national popular vote interstate compact thing. If some of these considering states end up lighting green, passing this 270 number, whoever wins a popular vote will end up winning all these states, all these green states, plus some of the states that end up lighting up. And it's not completely impossible, right? Back in the 2020 election, we already saw a lot of enacteds, but since there are 3 more states have enacted their I should say 2 more states have enacted such a measure, being the states of Minnesota and Maine since the 2020 general election. And if that does end up happening, who would end up winning the presidential election? Well, if you look at the actual national vote numbers, you can see that Trump has a 0.7% lead. Considering there's a lot of third parties and the fact that polls historically have underestimated Donald Trump, that might very well not happen in 2024. Nevertheless, if polls do underestimate Trump, or if the polls are accurate and Trump ends up winning the popular vote, and if this national popular vote interstate compact thing does end up passing, then if you look at all these green states here, when you reflect it on this map, this is the map you get. Right, this is the map you get. 538 for Donald Trump, 0 for Joe Biden. It just so happens that every one of these states in white right now actually have passed this national popular vote interstate compact. If at least 270 electoral votes passes, then this is the map you're gonna get, because there's gonna be faithless electors who will vote in this way accordingly to the state's law, which does give Trump 538 electoral college votes. He does not have to win those states, he simply needs to win the popular vote. And pretty much Joe Biden does not have the same luxury because, again, these Republican states, they haven't passed a similar legislation. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider subscribing. We're going to go live here on Wednesday for the primary results. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see that. Again, this is not a prediction. This is a hypothetical scenario, and it's kind of a fun and intriguing one. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.